The hunting lodge on Valkyr Prime reeked of exotic meats and pride. Kieran Dack stood in the corner, his human frame dwarfed by the towering forms of the galaxy's most renowned hunters. At 17 standard years, he was the youngest apprentice ever admitted to the conclave of the hunt, and certainly the only Terran. "Look at the soft skin," sneered Thexal, a four-armed Crothan whose chitin armor gleamed under the amber lights. "Does it even have claws? Or fangs?" Laughter rippled through the assembled hunters, a chorus of clicks, growls, and guttural barks from a dozen different species. Kieran kept his eyes down, focusing on the worn leather of his boots. His mentor had warned him this would happen. Humans were new to the galactic stage, barely a century since first contact. They had no reputation among the hunters. No legendary kills, no fearsome physiology. "Perhaps it will cry," added Vesera, a serpentine Sulani whose scales shimmered with bioluminescence. "I have heard Terrans leak water from their eyes when distressed. How delightfully primitive." Kieran's jaw tightened, but he said nothing. He had learned early that words would not earn him respect here. Only the hunt mattered. Only the kill. The massive doors of the lodge groaned open and silence fell like a hammer. Every hunter in the room turned, straightened, and lowered their heads in deference. Even Thexal, who had been mid-laugh, froze. Hrothgar Venn had arrived. The legendary hunter moved with the fluid grace of a predator despite his massive frame. Standing nearly 3 meters tall, the Vraxi warrior was a mountain of corded muscle and scarred gray hide. His tusks were carved with the tallies of 1,000 hunts, and his eyes, 6 of them arranged in pairs across his broad face, missed nothing. He wore the traditional pelts of his people, each one representing a beast that would have killed a lesser hunter. "Great one," the hunters murmured in unison, their voices suddenly respectful. Hrothgar's gaze swept the room, passing over the assembled apprentices until it landed on Kieran. The human felt those 6 eyes bore into him, measuring, calculating. Then the great hunter moved forward, his heavy footfalls shaking the wooden floor. He stopped directly in front of Kieran. "You are the Terran," Hrothgar said, his voice like grinding stone. "Yes, great hunter," Kieran replied, meeting those alien eyes despite every instinct screaming at him to look away. "They mock you." "Yes, great hunter. Why do you not challenge them?" Kieran hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "Because I have not yet earned the right. My actions must speak before my words can matter." Something flickered across Hrothgar's faces, approval perhaps, or amusement. The great hunter turned to address the room. "Tomorrow we hunt the Ravager of the Blood Moon Forest. It has killed 17 hunters in the past season. This will be the final trial for all apprentices." His gaze returned to Kieran. "The Terran will accompany me." Gasps echoed through the lodge. To hunt alongside Hrothgar Venn was an honor reserved for only the most promising warriors. Thexal's mandibles clicked in outrage. "Great one, surely you jest. The soft skin will only— Are you questioning my judgment?" Hrothgar's voice dropped to a lethal whisper. Thexal backed down immediately, lowering all 4 of his arms in submission. The Blood Moon Forest lived up to its name. Crimson leaves filtered the light of Valkar's twin suns, casting everything in shades of dried blood. Kieran moved silently beside Hrothgar, his rifle held ready. The other apprentices fanned out ahead, eager to prove themselves, their heavy footfalls announcing their presence to everything within a kilometer. "They hunt with their pride," Hrothgar observed quietly. "What do Terrans hunt with?" "Patience," Kieran answered. "And stubbornness." A sound that might have been laughter rumbled from the great hunter's chest. The Ravager struck without warning. One moment the forest was silent. The next 3 apprentices were airborne, screaming as the creature's massive claws sent them tumbling. The beast was enormous, a nightmare of muscle and rage, with 6 legs and a maw that could swallow a man whole. The apprentices scattered in panic. Thexal fired wildly, his shots going wide. Vesera attempted to coil around a tree, but the Ravager's tail smashed the trunk to splinters. Kieran didn't run. He dropped to one knee, steadied his breathing, and observed. The creature was fast, but it favored its left side. An old injury, perhaps. Its attacks were powerful, but followed a pattern. Slash, charge, spin. Predictable if you were patient enough to see it. "Now, young one," Hrothgar said beside him, making no move to intervene. "Show me." Kieran waited for the pattern. Slash. Charge. As the Ravager spun, He fired 3 shots in rapid succession. The first struck the creature's left foreleg, exactly where scar tissue weakened the joint. The second hit its eye as it roared in pain. The third found the gap in the armored plates at its throat. The Ravager collapsed dead before it hit the ground. Silence descended on the forest. The surviving apprentices stared, their weapons still raised, their minds struggling to process what had just happened. The Terran, the weak, soft-skinned Terran, had killed the Ravager with 3 shots. Hrothgar approached the fallen beast, examined Kieran's work, then nodded slowly. He reached up and removed one of the carved tusks from his own jaw, wincing as the ancient binding tore free. He held it out to Kieran. "Among my people, this is given only to those we consider equal," the great hunter said, his 6 eyes gleaming with respect. "You do not have our strength, young Terran. You do not have our fangs or claws or armor, but you have something more dangerous." He tapped Kieran's forehead with one massive finger. "You have the patience to wait, the wisdom to observe, and the courage to act when the moment is right. These are the marks of a true hunter." Kieran accepted the tusk with trembling hands, overwhelmed. Hrothgar turned to address the other apprentices, his voice carrying through the blood-red forest. "From this day forward, Kieran Dax is my brother in the hunt. Any who challenge him challenge me." No one spoke. No one dared. As they walked back to the lodge, Hrothgar spoke quietly to Kieran. "Your people are young to the stars, but do not let others mistake youth for weakness. I have seen many species rise and fall. Those who survive are not always the strongest or the fastest. They are the ones who adapt, who think, who endure." Kieran looked up at his new brother, understanding dawning. "You knew I could make the shot. I knew you would wait for the right moment. That is rarer than you think." The great hunter's mandibles curved into what might have been a smile. "The galaxy underestimates humanity. They see your soft skin and assume weakness. Let them. By the time they realize their mistake, it will be too late." That evening, Kieran Dax sat among the hunters not as an outsider, but as one of them. The great hunter's tusk hung around his neck, and when he spoke, others listened. The Terran youth had earned his place not through brute strength, but through the very qualities that made humans dangerous: intelligence, patience, and the stubborn refusal to give up. The galaxy would learn, in time, what Hrothgar Venn already knew. Humanity's greatest strength was being underestimated, and that would be the downfall of anyone foolish enough to belittle them twice.